What's up, everybody, and welcome to JFK Book Reviews, a division of the Lone Gunman podcast. I'm Rob Clark. That's Joe Borelli. God damn, I don't even know where to look. And today, we're going to be reviewing the book JFK, First Day Evidence by Gary Savage. Stored away for 30 years in an old briefcase, new evidence is now revealed by former Dallas Police Crime Lab Detective R.W. Rusty Livingston. And Joe, this bad boy is not too thick. It's what we call slim thick.
It's medium. Yeah, medium, I'd say.
It's deceptively thick.
Mm-hmm.
As we'll find out with the page count. But yeah, JFK, First Day Evidence by Gary Savage. Joe, tell us a little bit about this book here.
Sure. Well, it was published in January of 1993 by author Gary Savage, who was the nephew of Mr. R.W. quote Rusty Livingston, one of the members of the DPD crime lab in 1963. It was published by self-published, wrote, edited through his small publishing company, the Chope Press. And I say Chope because there are two P's in that, from Monroe, Louisiana. And the book is essentially a presentation and commentary on Livingston's private archive, which, as you mentioned, was in a briefcase for 30 years, right? You can get it on Amazon used for as low as $13.09. It goes up from there. You could get it at a similar price from A-Books for about $17 used. There are two new copies for over $100, $104 specifically. It's not available via Kindle, as far as I could tell. There are 12 chapters total. There is a preface, acknowledgments section, a prologue, and also an introduction before chapter 1, which starts at around page 30. And after, there's an epilogue, appendix, and a section called Works Cited, as well as a bibliography. After each chapter, it's footnoted. And Gary Savage, obviously the nephew of R.W. Rusty Livingston, not a professional historian or a journalist, private citizen with a strong personal interest in the Kennedy assassination, with kind of a focus on defending the reputation of his uncle and the DPD. And, it definitely, Rob, has a strong lone nut lean.
Kinda. That it does, Joe. I've had this book for a while, and I wanted to get it because there was some hoopla surrounding this book, as far as being touted as new evidence, right?
Where have we seen that before?
Yeah. This might be, hold on, let me dust off. This might be Jefferson Morley's first nothing burger ever made with 2 buns and a piece of meat. Of course, I say that jokingly, but kind of not.
Allegedly.
Now, right here on the back of the book, folks, it tells you this is not a conspiracy book, Joe. It's not. It is a valuable reference tool, sir. And it says, now there is a lot of photographs in this book, over 140 original photographs, not copies from the Warren Commission, not copies at NARA, not FBI copies. These are mostly photos of Oswald, evidence photos, mugshots, morgue photos. I mean, you name it.
Yeah, I
Um,
think some Beckley photos too,
yeah,
right?
anything the DPD took pictures of, uh, this guy made himself what he likes to call reference copies, Joe. Reference copies.
Not sure what that means, but
Yeah. Well, he hoarded a bunch of this evidence because it does tell in here the story of how the FBI was coming for all their evidence, right? Because it was the Dallas Police Department that collected a lot of this evidence first and took these pictures and found this stuff. And the FBI, of course, stepped in rather quickly after the assassination, within a day or two, and started demanding that they send the evidence to Washington and orchestrated that. That is when several, I should say, because Mr. Livingston, I presume, was not the only one to sock away a little first day evidence, if you know what I'm saying. In fact, we know the story about who's his buddy? Oh man, Roscoe White. That's it. And his wife. Of course, Roscoe was dead by the time of the HSCA, but she came forward with another pose of the backyard photograph that had never been seen before. Well, guess who else had the same pose in his briefcase 30 years later? Old
Rusty,
Rusty Livingston.
Rusty.
Yeah. So this was a photo that they never turned over to the FBI or the Warren Commission. They kept it in house in their own files. Um, they also tout in here, see a Dallas police photograph of the Minox spy camera that the FBI tried to make disappear. Now, again, I say, that's why I said this is kind of a lone nut lean book, because there are some things in here that they put, that kind of make you go, okay. They even addressed the whole Marguerite Oswald. There was another backyard photograph pose, supposedly of him holding the rifle above his head, that her and Marina burned when they found out that Lee Harvey Oswald had been arrested, and the negatives for that were never found either. He has included in this book the actual transcripts, allegedly, from the Dictabelt recordings of the Dallas Police, channels 1 and 2, Joe. And it details in here how, I mean, they really are, they really, really praise Lieutenant Carl Day for his prowess as a investigator.
Yeah.
Yet, after they sent the rifle off to the FBI said, well, we can't find any fingerprints on this rifle, you know. But allegedly, the story is in the book, they found fingerprints on the trigger housing of the rifle that they dusted, but they never lifted them because the FBI took the rifle a little too fast for him. They were told to hand it over. He wasn't done doing what he's doing, but the photographs are in the book of this trigger housing. And yeah, you can see latent fingerprints on it. Okay. But you have to realize, I don't know how many people touched this rifle without wearing gloves. I mean, they're up on the 6th floor examining it in the Aaliyah film. They're passing it around, looking at it, trying to read it. You see Fritz carrying it at some point. You see Carl Day walking around with it, outside the school book depository and in the police headquarters, holding it above his head.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is comparing a photograph of a fingerprint to Oswald's fingerprint card that they got from him after he was dead. So there's a picture in the book of Oswald in the morgue, and Livingston tells the story how they went there and they used inkless fingerprint cards and rolled his hands and got printed ink uh, fingerprint cards to compare to. So, I don't know how much I trust the evidence. Now, what I will say that I like about this book, Joe, is that you know how when you open a book and the pages feel like paper, paper pages, right?
Right.
And then you get to the middle of the book, and then maybe there's a glossy feeling section where all the photos are.
Yep. I know exactly what you mean.
Okay, I'm glad I'm relating that eloquently. Um,
Yes.
well, this entire book is printed on that glossy feeling paper.
Hmm.
I guess because there's so many photographs in it, every page feels like that. And that may be why it's possibly so deceivingly slim thick, if you will. But they're all glossy. It makes for a nice feel as you're
Yeah.
going through the book.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, it's glossy, reflects light well, so it's very easy to read. Um,
That factors in the rating.
does.
Quality, right?
Yeah, there's other things in here. He talks about the palm print allegedly found. He says, and I'll quote this here from the book. Lieutenant Day told us that after he had photographed the trigger housing prints and been stopped by Captain Doty, he continued work on the rifle under the order of Captain Fritz. And it was at that time he noticed a print sticking out from the barrel. He said it was obvious that part of it was under the wooden stock, so he took the stock off and finished dusting the barrel. He said he could tell it was part of a palm print, so he proceeded with a lift. He told Rusty and me that he could tell it wasn't put there recently by the way it took the fingerprint powder. He said what makes a print of this sort is a lack of moisture, and this print had dried out. So he said he took a small camel hair brush, dipped it in fingerprint powder, and lightly brushed it. He then placed a strip of 2-inch scotch tape over the developed print and rubbed it down before finally lifting the tape containing the print off and placed it on a card. He said he then compared the lift to Oswald's palm print card, and he was certain that it was Oswald's. He also said that after the lift, he could still see an impression of the palm print left on the barrel. So again, in order for this palm print to be on this barrel, it had to be put on there while the gun was disassembled because the stock covered it. And it was old. Okay. And so you have allegedly here a palm print, an old one that they compared visually, I'm assuming, to Oswald's fingerprint card. Now they did, Joe, pull a Joan Mellon with this book, right? They went and retained the services of a Jerry Powderill, who is an expert fingerprint examiner with the city of West Monroe, Louisiana.
Powder ill.
You gonna make me say that again? Powdrill.
Okay, got it.
Powdrill.
Okay, it sounded like an alias for a second.
Jerry L. Powdrill. Okay.
Okay.
And here was his expert conclusion. Okay. He says, in October 91, you approached me with a request to compare latent fingerprints to known inked prints. At that time, I received from you the following items. And he goes through and states what he got from them, as far as the photographs and the fingerprints, card, and all that stuff. He says, upon examination of the above listed items, the inkless card and the known inked impressions on, quote, JFK exhibit F400 were compared to the unknown partial latents shown in the 4 black and white photographs. and this was uh, the trigger housing. Examination revealed that the right middle finger of Lee Harvey Oswald and Marshall Layton, seen in one of the black and white photos, have the following similarities. Both were ulnar loops, which is a type of fingerprint pattern. Both have a ridge count of 15 or 16, friction ridge count from delta to core. 3 points of identity in the photographs matched 3 points in the known inked cards. 3 other points of identity in the photograph Layton had very similar characteristics as in the known inked cards, but positive points of identity cannot be made. So, in conclusion, Joe, above looking at the above mentioned photos and inked cards for countless hours, I can say that sufficient evidence does not exist to conclude that the latent print is in fact that of Lee Harvey Oswald. However, there are enough similarities to suggest that it is possible that they are one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, maybe, I mean, not the first nothing burger in the case, of course, but it's a nothing burger nonetheless. Now, why they would publish this in their book, I mean, I guess it's honest publishing, I guess. Even though you don't have something that worked out too good for you. You know, sometimes you swing and you hit a home run, Joe, and sometimes it's a swing and a miss, right?
Yes, sir.
But you know, there's a lot of photographs that are in here that, uh, like I said, are rarely seen. Uh, I mean, they pretty much say that Oswald had a Minox camera. You know, you can see it right in the evidence photos, clear as day. Then they talk about a map that was drawn by the Dallas crime lab detective Studebaker of the layout of the sixth floor crime scene, and it was never turned over to the Warren Commission. And he had a copy of that, and it was drawn on graph paper, interestingly enough, and it details the exact location of bag, shells, rifle as found on the sixth floor. But it's very, very small. Uh, Tells you where the palm prints were, where the windows were, where the rifle was. It just, you know, some things that you probably never seen before,
Mm-hmm.
because we've all seen the Warren Commission FBI reconstruction or crime scene photos, if you will, of the school book depository that are in the Warren Commission exhibits. But you know what? The Dallas police took their own photos of the sixth floor that day, and they took a shitload of them. And there is a lot of them in this book that I've never seen before. Um, so for that alone, you know, I'm not mad at this book. You know, I'm not mad at it at all. It does have a little bit of value in that sense. I mean, some of these photos
Mm-hmm.
are crazy, Joe. Like I've never seen it before. Um, so in that sense, it's good. There's a lot of photos um, that he took from Lee Harvey Oswald's possessions that are probably very rarely seen. Some stuff that when he was in Russia, hanging out with friends and all kinds of stuff I've never seen before. They may be in the Warren Commission exhibit somewhere, but you might have to dig for them. But all in all, Joe, I mean that's about it. I'm not mad at it, but if you could, dude, give us your impressions of the book.
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed it up really nicely there. There is some benefit to this book. Almost, it makes me think of our review of Robert Oswald's book, also a lone nutter, but did have some interesting information on Oswald and their childhood and stuff like that. And I don't know how many of the 100 plus pictures were unreleased at that point in 1993. I would guess a few of them are not widely circulated. Obviously, Lone Nut Lean. I obviously don't agree with a lot of it, but like you mentioned, there are some interesting little tidbits. So, based on the quality of the book, right, of good quality, if and based on the fact that a lot of things seem to be permanently, what do they call it, memory hold in the internet, right? Pictures seem to disappear. If you could get this book for $15, I'd say just for the the photos, it's not horrible. So based on that, I think I'm just going to give it, and I've been going between a 4 and a 5, but based on your description of its quality, I think I'm going to lean higher and just give it a 5 out of 10. Worth it alone, and considering the time, 1993, right? AARB is really just getting started. Um, I, I I think I'll give it a 5 out of 10. 5 guns up.
Thank you, Joe.
How about you?
Well, you make a good point there about the ARRB, and I don't know if they went after this guy, uh, Rusty Livingston's files. I don't know that they could, since it was a Dallas uh, police department thing and not federal government type thing. But that was part of what the AARB was doing.
I get it wrong like half the
I know.
time.
ARRB, yeah, ARB.
I say ARRB all the time.
Well, it is ARB. I always say AARB.
Well, I got it wrong again then.
Assassination Records Review Board. ARRB is right. So, um, but yeah, they were tasked with compiling and collecting any documents related to JFK that were out there that maybe we didn't have. And when guys like this come forward with a briefcase full of shit or a suitcase full of shit that they've been sitting on for 30 years, you think they might have would have asked for it. I don't know if they did,
Mm-hmm.
but when you have original photographs or copies of original photographs, in good shape, I mean, that's kind of invaluable stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know whatever happened to this guy's collection or what happened to it or anything like that. I have no idea.
No.
Apparently, this guy wrote one book, and that was that.
Yeah, and I think he died in 2016.
Who's Savage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Rusty Livingston died way before that. But
Yeah.
again, it's not an overly lone nut book where like a Posner or a Bugliosi where they keep shoving shit down your throat, page after page after page. This is not like that. They admit their mistakes. They give it to you honest. If it didn't match, it didn't match. Um, and there is some value in this book with the photos and the evidence, because you have to remember, the DPD collected it all first, and they make that case in here. It's a fact that they were very proud of. He feels like the Dallas Police Department did an excellent job in collecting the evidence and analyzing the evidence before the FBI came in and kind of said, "Here, give me that shit." Right? So, with that being said, for this book's value, I'm going to give it a solid 6, Joe. 6 guns up.
That's respectable. I agree. It has value, especially when you consider, which we always do in our ratings, when it was published, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is 30 years after the assassination. This was over 30 years ago from today. Does it hold up? I mean, it is what it is. lone nutters love to pull it out and say, well, back in this day in this book, they said they found Oswald's latent fingerprints, but I read you the letter from Mr. Powderill, who says they cannot conclusively state that those prints came from Oswald.
Right.
You're comparing a photo of fingerprints with a fingerprint card from a dead man. So interesting.
And they love to use that wording, right? It could most likely be, or it could possibly be, right? They love to do that, and then harp on that, right? As fact.
That's one of their favorite things to do.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's it for this book, JFK First Day Evidence by Gary Savage. And if you enjoyed that book review, then by God, you're going to love our podcast, folks. Click our channel, head over there, go to the playlist. There's several sections in there. Click the live tab, and you'll have access to all of our live streams we've done. And there's a book review section. You'll have access to all the previous book reviews we've done. And there's a whole lot more there. So head over there, check it out. If you're interested, subscribe, like the videos, share them if you want to. And like I said, we do the show live every Friday night, live streamed here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern and Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern for our channel members exclusively, because that's what we are, Joe. We are exclusive.
Yes. Thanksgiving will not stop us. We will be here in a couple days on Friday.
Yeah. And we'll see our members Wednesday night at 7 before Thanksgiving. So until then, enjoy your turkey day, folks. If we don't see you, and if we do see you, well, we'll tell you again tomorrow. Anyway, that's it for us. Check out some of these other videos that we've done, some other book reviews, and I believe I'll throw up our podcast link too. Check it out. Appreciate it. Until next time, folks, I'm Rob Clark. That's Joe Borelli, and we are out. Peace.
Thank you, everyone.